Welcome to the first episode of The Pity Party. I'm Rabia and I'm blind.
My name is Rafia and I am in a wheelchair.
I'm Omaya. I'm also in a wheelchair.
Are you having a pity party yet? We are three Muslim women from three different parts of the world living in the Greater Toronto area, and we all happen to have disabilities. Over 50 years of lived experience of disability. So in this first episode, we will tell you a bit more about us. And today, the hottest headline topic in Toronto, in Canada, is our upcoming federal election happening on Monday, September the 20th. And we're going to talk about that because we have something to say.
Absolutely. So let me ask, what are some of the issues that matters to you in this election?
Well, as a woman with a disability, as somebody who advocates for people with disabilities, has siblings with disabilities, works to advocate for people with disabilities. Right now I'm working as, I consider myself a systems disruptor. I run DEEN Support Services, but I'm also the National Director of Disability Without Poverty. So I'm really working hard to spotlight the issues of people with disabilities and their financial struggles. They need income security. That issue really matters to me in this election.
Absolutely. What about you, Amaya?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think election time, like before, I'm one of these people who's guilty of not voting. So I tell you the truth. Like, and I really never believed in like
Oh,
my
Maya.
vote. I know, my vote making a difference. I'm being honest with you, right? So, but in the later years, actually, and like I'm a mom, I have kids, and I also consider myself an advocate on behalf of the people with disabilities. And I see the importance of really voting and having our say out there, right? Because these are the decision makers, and if we choose right and we do our homework and we give our vote to the party that we think will be like promoting the agenda for the people with disabilities and including them in real, not just like in talk, right?
Mm,
It really makes a difference, and it really helps like a lot in bringing forward those, because those are the decision makers and those are the ones who are going to make it happen, whether we like it or not, right? So we may as well have a say.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And Omaya, there's lots of people out there who think the way you used to think, that my vote really doesn't matter. Why should I bother? Nobody's going to care about my issues. Well, guess what? As people with disabilities, we are the largest minority group in this country. And as racialized people with disabilities, we are a part of that group. So being a Canadian who has the right to vote and living with a disability, we have a lot of power if we use it to
Absolutely.
our advantage.
True. And I think it's also, I think it's like it's my duty and my obligation as an advocate and as a person with disability who lived my entire life with a disability, and I see the struggle that the people with disabilities are going through, right, every day in and day out. And I feel we like, who consider ourselves advocate, it's our job to be like role models for the other people, like the other people with disabilities who feel vulnerable, maybe are not able to voice their opinion. They feel like for one reason or another that they're not important and they don't matter. I
Mhm.
think we have that responsibility, that we want to play the role for ourselves and for them too, to encourage them and to open the doors for them. And because that's the only way you can see change happen.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Rafael, what about
Absolutely.
you? What's your opinion?
What's my opinion? Well, we've seen in the pandemic what has happened to people with
Yeah.
disabilities. And we have been on at the bottom of the list when it comes to, getting the services that we need. And also issues around income is a big issue. We are seeing too many people with disabilities living in poverty, right? And we want a government that can listen to us and make sure that they would cater to our needs and the things that are important to us. And the other thing is too is that politicians need to know that people with disabilities exist. We have a voice. We have a voice, and we need to exercise that voice. And it's only in
Absolutely.
the elections we can do that.
And we're talking about people living in poverty, people with disabilities. Again, we're a substantial group in that category as well. 41% of people living in poverty are Canadians with disabilities. That's awful for a first world society that
Absolutely.
praises itself on quality of life. And our, sisters and brothers with disabilities are not enjoying that quality of life.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And this is, I think, thank you, Rabia, for bringing that up. Actually, I think the other reason that we really need to be voting and we need to exercise our right, and not just voting, we need to be engaged at that level, at some level, right? Because we need to make sure the leaders stay true to their promise. Right? If they
Exactly.
promise that they're going to bring something through, and it's not just get forgotten past the election day, right? And then nobody is following through, because it's sad to say, but whoever scream louder get heard, right? That's the nature, right? So we need to be that voice, and the one of us who are able to voice it, we need to be it. We need to encourage ourselves. We need to go out there, vote, and be engaged, and also follow through on the leaders' promises and make sure they come true, because they
Hold them
need to.
accountable. Hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
That's what you're
And they
talking
need to
about.
make, yeah,
Yeah.
they need to, because this is serious business. This is not something like we're asking for something a nice to have. This is basic for
Exactly.
us. Like
Exactly.
it's not a
Exactly.
luxury. Right.
And when you think about it, that people with disabilities are struggling so much, they can't even put food on the table. They have medical expenses. They have other expenses regarding for their disability, and they have no money to pay for that. So it's definitely a big issue for us.
Like before the pandemic, the people with disabilities are the most vulnerable sector, right?
Hmm.
The Canada, we're blessed to be here. Like I don't want to overlook that. Like we are all blessed as Canadian to be living in this country. But there is always room for growth and doing better, and the way we do it, and Canada is known for that. That we always take care of our most vulnerable, or the people who need us the most. Like we always offer that help, and not like in a, yes, this is a pity party, but not in a pity way, in a rights way. Like it's our right towards this segment of the society, that we make sure we elevate them, and we give them their basic needs, so they're like ease their struggle kind of thing, because the disability, like adds a lot of limitations. And
Hmm.
in a pandemic, it's even crazy when the cost of food just went like 30% up, right? Rent,
Exactly.
this, everything went up, and their
Hmm.
like disability allowance is still the same. Like how much is stretching of the dollar you're gonna do, right?
So, ladies, let's talk about this. Amaya, you brought a really, really good point,
Yeah.
right? We are women who are working. We
Yeah.
are entrepreneurial. We get a
Right.
paycheck. We have
Right.
income.
Right.
And yet we know that we don't enjoy the same quality of life
Right.
as other able-bodied working women,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So,
Right.
so it costs us more to live with a disability. We
Absolutely.
cannot hunt down all those deals and bargain shop. During the pandemic, when we were forced to, to do things online, it actually added more cost
Absolutely.
to our lives. And
Absolutely.
the government did not step up to help us sufficiently.
Right.
Now, this government made a promise, guys. Do you know that they made a promise last fall and this spring about the Canada Disability Benefit?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so this Canada Disability Benefit is supposed to lift those 41% of Canadians living with disabilities in poverty out of poverty so they don't find themselves pushed even further beyond the margins in our
Hmm.
society. We need to make sure that we hold the next government to this commitment
Right.
regardless of which party comes into power.
Right.
So, when we're talking about who to vote for, I
Yeah.
think it's really important that people go read up on platforms, Don't just, no pun intended, blindly vote for the party you've always voted for, okay?
Right,
Don't
right,
be blind about it.
right.
You have to do your homework.
Absolutely.
Do your homework, figure out who's going to do the job for your issues
Right,
to be
Mhm, mhm.
right,
realized. Who's going to and who can you hold accountable, right? Who can you reach? You
right,
know? So you got to get out there. You got to vote on September 20th. And you got to make sure that you are voting for somebody who's going to honor that promise. We want all parties to work together in the interest of Canadians with disabilities. And,
right,
again, those people that don't vote know that when you don't vote, you're basically handing your vote to the people that you don't believe in.
right, right.
So Rabia, what advice do you have for people with disabilities? They're trying to figure out, which party stands for what. What is your advice to them?
All disability organizations are trying to educate people with disabilities, so go out there and check out the various organizations that you may be connected to. They have letter writing campaigns going on. They have election kits, toolkits out there. For me and my work with Disability Without Poverty, we've put all party platforms out there for you to see. So
Right.
check out those party platforms and their references to people with disabilities. Some
Mhm.
have a lot to say, others have very little to say. It's important to know what they're saying today, because if they're not saying much today, guys, they
Yeah.
ain't going to do much tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. To your point,
Absolutely.
Rabia, they usually say, and you get them elected based on that, and they don't come through. So imagine if they're
Yeah.
not saying at all, if it's not
Yeah.
on their agenda, like what is going
Mhm,
to happen, right? The other thing that I point out, Rafia, like I like to answer your question. Like for example, watch the debate between the
mhm,
three. It's
mhm,
on it's on YouTube. You can watch it anywhere you want, right?
mhm,
Um, and try you skip through it, like if there are, it's like 3 hours long, so if there are things that you're not interested in, so who cares, skip through it, you have that ability, right?
mhm.
And
That's a good point.
go to the points that matters to you, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then draw your own, like pen and paper, and just see this party versus this for this that, right? And what's their agenda, and based on that make your own decision. Ask your friends, ask your colleagues with disabilities. Try to, like, it's a homework, you got to do your homework, because you got to take the responsibility that you want to have the right, you want to vote to the right person that serves your right and what
Absolutely.
you're about. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And I wanted, sorry, Roya, I wanted to say one more thing about the us, like being vulnerable, and we are working
She
and
just called me Ruya. I'm so offended.
Rabia, sorry.
She forgot my name.
Sorry.
She's known me for 30 years.
Roya is my caregiver. Like I see her every day. Sorry. I'm sorry, Rabia. It's not intended. And also, Rabia, listen, you gotta forgive me. It's old age too. Like I'm getting it. Okay?
They're
No,
older than me. Haha.
I know. I know. Oh, of course, of course, of course. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that, like, yes, Rabia, I agree with you. We we are one of, I want to say lucky, like the privileged one, the most privileged one, because we managed through our circumstances, like to get education, to get some kind of skills and expertise, and to work and make money and be able to support ourselves and support our families and have kids and raise them. So I want to bring that up. Like, look at that. Like, as a person with disability, I find, and like a woman, we're talking about women, but this goes to, you know, men too with disabilities, is you have to build yourself up, you have to study, like, no, first you have to get over the vulnerability that the society puts on you, that you were like, you have a disability, so you get over that, right? First, then you got to build yourself up to go out there, and get an education or get something skills, and then, okay, we break through that, then we got to break through the employment thing and get ourselves a job, and then have a job, and then you have the money, and then you feel so good that you are now, you're sort of becoming equal to the rest of the society, because you're working, you're productive, you're paying. Guess what happened? Government treat you like you don't have a disability, like they tax you to death. They don't give you have kids, look, you have a disability, you have kids. They slash the baby bonus because you get a certain, like, benchmark, right? They don't differentiate. they slash your baby bonus. They don't understand that it's not childcare you only need, like the basic stuff you need is you gotta go fetch for yourself and try to find
Mhm.
like services, and the services out there is for you, it's not for your kids. You see? So it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
layers and layers and layers of challenges.
Mhm.
Yes, we're proud of ourselves, don't get me wrong, we would rather do it for ourselves, we would rather be like taxpayers, right, and
Mhm.
fully participant
Well,
in the
we are
society.
taxpayers. We
Or
pay a
I'm
lot
just
of
talking
tax.
for the
Yeah,
people with disability, like the
yeah.
general
Mhm.
community. This is the goal. But at the same time, cut us some slack, give us some breaks. Yes, somebody is working like 24/7, trying to be like, proving themselves. And you come here and oh, look at you, you're really good. You make
You
like
know, one of the things we've seen in the pandemic, and then we've seen a massive shortage of PSWs, right?
yeah,
And that has impacted me so much because
yeah,
days when I have to work, but there are certain days that I just can't cook, and I end up
mhm.
ordering food,
Same,
and
same.
that is an additional expense,
I
just
know.
because of your disability, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and if
it
you're a
is.
mom, like ask Rabia, it's not like you have to feed yourself and your husband. You have to feed the army that's waiting for you. It doesn't matter. I tell my kids, look, this is a funny joke. Like all my life, I really did not want my earlier life. You know how it is. I did not want people to label me that I have a disability. So I was really so against it. Like I don't want you to even hint it, right? Like not the
Mhm.
look, not nothing. Guess what I'm doing right now? Second half of my life. Hey people, I have a disability now.
Yep,
people,
my kids forget
people,
that I'm blind, and
I'm
I'm
tired. I'm tired,
blind.
people. I need my rest. So leave me alone. Right? Like, so it's like,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny.
It's true. It's true. Like,
Right.
I ask my kids for help and they're just whining at me. They don't get it that
Yeah,
mom actually needs help. It's not just a mom
absolutely.
saying,
Mhm.
being lazy or something, but it's just, I need their extra eyes and extra hands. And
Absolutely.
they treat me like, me having
Equal.
a disability is no big deal because
That's true.
this is
That's
just
true.
the way it's
And
been.
yeah.
So
Rabia, what they tell me?
later on in our lives, we're milking this disability thing. Then
I know. No, but look, my kids, they say, don't bring that line again. Like when I have a disability, like they don't want to hear it. But it's a true. Like I'm
it's
not
true.
like
And not only that, we're getting older.
I
And
know.
it's becoming more
Yeah,
difficult to do things. Or
absolutely,
we
absolutely.
need our rest. We need a little break sometimes. That's so true.
Well, in my case, all the time right now. Like I'm
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
I want to be in break mode. I feel like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
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 we so
ladies,
we're
I think.
entering into the pity party then.
Yes. So there
Yeah,
you go.
I
We,
like
we
I like the
want
name.
the pity party now. We actually want the pity party, at least
Absolutely,
from the people closest to
absolutely.
us to pick up the slack and make our lives easier,
Absolutely.
right?
Now that we have done it all, and you know what I mean, the career, the family, the status, what have you, the money. Now we want the pity. So this is
There
your
you go.
chance.
So join us next time for the pity party, but let us leave you with this one message. Please go out, get informed, and vote. Right, ladies?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
September 20th, go out and vote. Make your voice count.
Right. Right. And
Absolutely.
remember, it's a duty. It's not just a responsibility. It's really a duty to the Canadian government, to the society, and to all the people with disabilities that we represent and we're part of. So please
Absolutely.
vote.
And on that note, Salamu alaikum, peace be upon you, good day, and we will see you next time.